So let's see few of the important pointers related to generation of computer. Student, these generations represent one of the technological advancement from one phase to another. Okay, and all these generation falls into the category of electronics age, and there are total 5 generations. Okay, and what are those generation? I am putting in the table form, and in the upcoming slides I am going to tell you the important previous year question pointer related to these generation. Okay, so the first generation is from year 1942 to 1954. Again, few of the students will argue that these numbers are not correct. So I want to tell you these numbers are only qualitative. There is no particular time period from which you can declare that it is a first generation. Okay, just remember in total what is the period. Okay, this number doesn't matter, but in this range is important, like it is around 1940 to 1955. That thing you should know. Okay, so the very important point for the first generation, and we have seen multiple times, the question was which technology was used. For this, vacuum tubes were used. Okay, this is very important pointer. So which of the following component were used in first generation? It is vacuum tubes. And you can ask me, what are the vacuum tubes? Student, the vacuum tubes are the device which is used to control the flow of electricity between electrode in the vacuum. So like it is tubes, tube like structures are there, so electrodes are there and the vacuum is there. So this device is used to control the flow of electricity in these tubes. Oh, okay, so this is basically a tube, and these vacuum tubes were designed by John Ambrose Fleming in 1904, but these were used in computer around late 90s, 1940s. Okay, and the problem with this vacuum tube is that they are very large in size. Okay, and they consume lot of power since they run from the electricity, and since they are running from the electricity they will generate heat, and since they are made up of the glass, so they are less reliable and fragile. Okay, so that's why these are very costlier effort, very large effort, very difficult to maintain. So this is the first generation anyhow that you should know. At that time it is itself a great achievement, but you need not to remember all these pointers. Just remember the vacuum tubes were used in the first generation. This is very important for your upcoming exam. And since these device basically work like a switch, like either 0 or 1, so machine codes were used at that particular time period. And there are 3 important popular computer which I am going to tell you are very important for your upcoming exam. The name of the computer: ENIAC, ADVAC and UNIVAC. Okay, why these are important? Let's see. So ENIAC, first you should know that it is electronic numerical integrator and calculator. Okay, the full form you should remember. And why I am telling you this is very important for your exam is it is first electronic computer. Okay, we have seen first electromechanical computer, that was Harvard Mark 1, but it is first purely electronic computer. Okay, so if he asks what is the first purely electronic computer, your answer should be ENIAC, that is electronic numerical integrator and calculator. Okay, and sometime at the level 2 he can ask you who has developed this computer. So it is Eckert and Macaulay. Okay, John Macaulay and JP Eckert, these people have developed electronic computer. But basically you should know that first electronic computer is ENIAC. Okay, don't confuse with Harvard Mark 1 or analytical engine. because this is the electronic age, those are electromechanical and mechanical age. Okay, so the first electronic computer is ENIAC. Coming to the next is ADVAC. The full form is Electronic Discrete Variable Atomic Calculator, automatic computer. Okay, Electronic Discrete Variable Automatic Computer. Discrete means, again, it is the first time, like previously they are using the analogous system, now they have used the binary system. Okay, instead of decimal represent 10 numbers, whereas binary represent only 2 numbers, that is 0 and 1. That's why they are discrete, and this is the first discrete computer, and it is the first computer that uses the concept of stored program. Okay, so in exam, if they ask which computer use the concept of stored program, your answer should be Electronic Discrete Variable Automatic Computer. Okay, and this is the first computer which use binary system instead of decimal. And very important part, that this is designed by John von Neumann. Okay, so whatever the modern architecture of computer which we are seeing is basically derived from this stored program concept. Okay, where instructions are stored in the memory. Okay, so this concept is basically first given in this computer. Coming to the next important one is the UNIVAC. It is again developed by JP Eckert and Macaulay, and the full form is Universal Automatic Computer, and it is the first commercial computer. So if they ask you what is the first commercial computer name, your answer should be UNIVAC. Okay, Universal Automatic Computer, and as I told you, it is developed by again Eckert and Macaulay. Okay, so the three name ENIAC, ADVAC and UNIVAC you should remember. ENIAC is the first electronic computer, ADVAC use the concept of stored program, whereas UNIVAC is the first commercial computer. And one more fact about this UNIVAC, it is used by the US Census Bureau to have the census calculation. Okay, and sometime he asks you the first mini computer. Okay, it is PDP-8. Okay, so PDP-8 is the first mini computer. Okay. Okay, so we have seen the first generation. Now let's see the second generation. It is around 1955 to 1964. Again, the period is important, not the year number exact. Okay, so the period is around 1955 to 1964. And this time they have used transistors instead of vacuum tubes. Again, this we have seen lot of times. So he generally asks about the second generation, and in second generation transistors were used. It is not the music system. Okay, sometimes people got confused with the transistor which were used for listening the music, but these are basically the electronic device which are used to amplify or switch the signals. Okay, so whatever the vacuum tubes is doing, with the same philosophy these transistors do. Okay, they do amplification and switching of the signal. Switching means you can think like it is either 0 or 1, whether voltage is there or not. Okay, so like you have seen these type of graph now. Okay, so this represent voltage is there, this represent voltage is not there. So this is basically a switching device or amplification device. Okay, and the good thing about these transistors are that they are very small in size, very more efficient and reliable. So handling wise it is very easy. Okay, so this generation basically changes the game of the upcoming generation. And as you know, these transistors were invented by these three personalities. Again, you should not remember their name. For the sake of the completeness, I am putting this. Okay, so they were working in the Bell Lab, which is a very famous laboratory in US. Okay, so in 1947, these three personalities has developed these transistors, and for these transistors, these three personalities won the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1956. Even though they have developed in 1947, but they received Nobel Prize in Physics after 9 years, okay, in the physics. Okay, so why they got the Nobel Prize? Because you can think like this is a technology which disrupt the whole system. Okay, so these transistors were used in every field right now. You can take anything, you will find transistors in it. Okay, and the other thing that you should remember is the popular computers, and in this generation IBM 1401 series were important, which were using transistors in it. Okay, so in this generation you should remember the technology that was used is a transistor, which is basically a device to switch the signal, and you should not remember the inventor name. This is for the fact basis I have put. Okay, coming to the next generation, that is third generation. It is around 1964 to 1975. Okay, and in this generation they have started using IC. Okay, so first thing you should know that IC basically integrate the circuits. What type of circuits? It integrates transistors that were used in second generation along with the resistors and capacitor on a single chip. Okay, so on a single chips, if this is a chip, they have integrate all these electronic component into that. And what material they are using? It is semiconductor. So sometimes they ask what type of material is used in IC. It is semiconductor, and usually silicon is used. So this type of question we have seen in RRB exam, where he asks you what is the element used in the integrated circuit. Your answer should be the semiconductor. Okay, and usually silicon is one of the semiconductor. Germanium is also there. There are many other semiconductors are there. Okay, and as you can think, like they have integrated all these circuits in a single chip, so obviously your size will got reduced, and reliability will also improve. And again, from the fact sake, I'm telling you one more fact, that these IC were invented by Jack Kilby, and he is from Texas Instrument, USA, and he has used germanium as a semiconductor for making this chip. And the other person who has a credit of making IC is Robert Noyce. He is again from the US, from the Fairchild Semiconductor, and he has used the silicon. Okay, so Jack Kilby used the germanium, whereas Robert Noyce used the silicon, but the concept is remain the same. They have made the IC, but Jack Kilby won the Nobel Prize in Physics in 2000. Okay, in 2000 year, like you can think like he has developed in 1958. So after so many years, he won the Nobel Prize. By because there was a lot of confusion who have developed the first IC. Either it is Jack Kilby or Robert Noyce. But finally, after the death of Robert Noyce in 1900, like 1990, Jack Kilby was awarded with the Nobel Prize in Physics, and people say that he has developed earlier than Robert Noyce, so he was awarded with the Nobel Prize. Okay, so these are the facts that you should take it as a information. But for this particular generation, you should remember that they have used IC for that, and these IC uses semiconductor, usually silicon. And popular language, sometime he asks, these are the popular language: C, Fortran and COBOL. And the popular computer name are IBM 360 series. Okay, so we have come to the fourth generation. Fourth generation starts from 1975 to 1989. And this particular generation use VLSI and microprocessor technology. Okay, so we have seen questions where he asks which generation use microprocessor technology, and your answer should be fourth generation. and it is the VLSI. What is VLSI? It is very large scale integration. What is very large scale integration? It is the integration of thousands to millions of transistors on a single IC. Okay, thousands to million of transistors on a single IC. You can think it is a huge number. So this is technology used in fourth generation, and this is very important fact. And this question we have seen in SSC exam, like the first microprocessor name. Okay, so the first microprocessor was developed in 1971, and it is Intel 4004. Okay, so the first microprocessor name is Intel 4004, and the credit goes to Marcian Tedhoff. Who has designed? Marcian Tedhoff. So he is known as father of microprocessor. Okay, but the first microprocessor name you should remember, it can come in your upcoming exam. Okay, so Intel 4004. And in this particular era, the popular language evolved is the SQL, that is SQL. And the very important again, in the fourth generation, these two computers were very popular. First one is the Apple computer, Apple I, and the second one are the IBM PCs. PCs now come into picture where it is the open end for the customers like normal public. So IBM has developed the PCs using these technologies. Okay, coming to the last generation, that is fifth generation, they have used ULSI, which is ultra large scale integration, and you can think like from million to billion of transistors they have put on a single IC. So you have more computation power, more advancement in the field of computer, and because you have lot of computation, lot of memory, artificial intelligence and quantum computing are going to be the trend setter for the upcoming generation. And you can also see like today everybody is talking about artificial intelligence, which is possible due to the miniaturization of all those technologies like ULSI. Okay, ultra large scale integration where you have billion of transistors on a single chip. So the size is reduced, power is increased. Okay, and where the application where you require a lot of computation, those are artificial intelligence and quantum computing. Okay, so if we ask in which generation quantum computing is used, it is fifth generation. It is not fully matured, but still it is under the progress phase. You can also think like nowadays like ChatGPT and other things have come. This is because of the artificial intelligence. They have huge machines which are using these technologies. Okay.